Hey guys, it's Rachel and Michelle here at the Healthy Hustle podcast. What we are jamming on today is how to show up with confidence. I've been talking to a lot of coaches, brand new coaches who are nailing down their niche, their offers. But when we get to the part where I say, how are you going to market yourself? There is dead silence and a lot of fear. So today we're going to go over how to tackle that overwhelm, get in the place of confidence so that you can show up online or offline. Michelle, tell everyone when you're feeling that lack of confidence, or maybe you always do feel that confidence and you want to share like what strategies have worked. Tell everyone a little what you do.
Yeah, I really dig my heels into more of a story approach. And I'd really just come from the place of like sharing my story or sharing like why I'm passionate about something specifically, or like what it felt like to go through that. And whatever it is I'm sharing and to get whatever results, and I think that a lot of times coaches can feel scared of their story. And that might be a reason why they lack the confidence to show up, because it requires you to show up and share.
Well, it requires you to actually share like what happened, life
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
What did you learn from this and what do you teach?
Yeah. And I think it's really important to practice it, even on a smaller level. Start with a shorter video or a recorded video, or a smaller post rather than a longer one, and kind of dip your toes into it. And then you'll see like your audience start responding, people will even message you for inspiration. But just to really just like let go of the outcome, if that makes sense. That's probably what I do the most, is that I let go of the outcome. Like when I really share something, I'm doing it more for me, knowing that it'll reach whoever it needs to reach, but I don't care about the outcome. Like if someone messaged me or someone likes it or comments, like that's a great bonus thing to happen, right? But it's not the sole purpose of why I'm doing it. I'm really doing it because I want someone to know, like, if you can, like, I got through this and you can too. And when you really approach it from that way, you kind of become
Service-based way. Service-based, I think not letting ego get in the way, because ego is where we're worried about what everyone thinks. And I know that I went through times where I had that like fuck it attitude. That was actually how I started showing up, because I was so overwhelmed, had so much anxiety about showing up, and this fear that I would sound stupid or that I didn't know what I was talking about, to kind of just saying, screw it. I'm going to start before I'm ready. I'm going to just go after it. So when we're thinking about showing up, because I think every coach always asks me the same question. They're like, I know my niche now, super happy about that. I've mapped out my programs. I know what I have for my low cost offer, what I have for my higher ticket. They're like already, and then it comes to, how do I promote myself? So let's talk about a little, ways that we can build that confidence to be able to show up. What are like 3 ways that you feel that you build confidence to be able to show up? Or maybe there's an example of a coach that you've worked with.
Yeah, I would say the first thing was journaling is really important for me. It helps me. It's always been helpful to really, and have the right writing prompts, like not to just journal just thoughts, but like what do I feel right now? Like, why do I think I'm feeling this way? Like, what's holding me back? And what can I do right now to like take one step forward and kind of start fixing it? Not thinking big picture of like, how do I fix this whole thing right now? But really, how can I just take one step out of this feeling that's holding me back? And that's been really, really helpful. Even in the past, like I hired a coach to actually help me with that and help me reach my goals. And, she was very focused on journaling. And I just found that. So the second thing to that would be accountability, right? So it's like, for me, it was journaling. It was 2, accountability, having someone that could really hold me accountable to whatever goal I had, so that I could really, like, if your goal is showing up and you're really having a hard time, like, it doesn't even have to be someone you pay as a coach. It could be like a peer. It could be someone, you know, like from your school that you went to, or a friend, or someone who's also in business, someone with the same goal, just somebody to like, you know, just hold you accountable, like to what you really want, you know. And that third thing would be to really take the actual step forward. Like you're never going to get anywhere if you're just standing still, not doing it, even if it's the smallest step. Like if someone's afraid to do video live, then record the video, you know, just take one notch down until you have the confidence to do it. Yeah. You know, if you're afraid to do a reel, like do a post first, you know, or put something on your story first, you know, like just kind of like taking that initial step to start progressing and not worrying about, well, like I'm too afraid to do this thing. Well, that's fine, you know, but start doing the small things to take the steps to the big thing, you know?
Well, and I think at this current time in the industry, we have to step out of our comfort zone because there are so many, the algorithms are not favoring anything but video. And so it's like getting out of the comfort zone and saying, if I'm scared to be on camera, I'm going to make a reel and I'm going to make it in Canva, you know, with a video there, or I'm going to make it in Canva with an image and put music to it. It's like taking that step. If I'm scared to do video, I'm going to do a video on like introducing myself and make it really short and just talk about like what you do, who you do it for, and practice that until you get comfortable. Upload, shoot that video on your phone or shoot that video on Zoom, upload it to YouTube and keep it unlisted, because there's a public option and there's an unlisted option where no one can see. But it's like, take the opportunity to record a video just like that, a video on a freebie, a video on a training. I mean, one of my favorite things that I think about early in my career is I sat there and I was like, how am I going to get visible when everyone else has this epic marketing? I can't afford a marketing person. You know, my social media wasn't great, but it's like, I had to say, screw it. And I had to start at baby steps and thinking, if my ideal client is out there searching for these problems, I'm going to make a video on each one of these problems and have them on YouTube. Then I can, in that description, lead them to a freebie or lead them to a discovery call and start to get myself out there in a place that I feel people really go to Google and find their information.
Yeah. And also really remembering, like, why are you doing this? You know, like if you have to talk to people, right? To like, you're going to eventually coach them. So it's really like, why are you doing this? And how can you really reach people? Like if you keep all of your skill set and your experience and your knowledge to yourself, then you're not serving the people that you're really here to serve. And the best way to do that is to start showing up for them. You have to be visible for them to see you. You have to show that you know what you're talking about, you know, otherwise those people, you know, if you can't do it for yourself right now, like do it for the people that you're supposed to help, because that's, you know, there has to be a reason that you're doing this to begin with.
I love that, because when we show up and we think about the task, the fear comes in, but when we get service-based, that fear starts to slip away. And I would also say, for that person that's really scared to get out there, even going offline and reaching out to local vendors, local places like juice shops and health food stores and gyms, you know, that can feel scary too. But it's like, you go in the ways that I went in. I took my computer in.
Yeah.
Introduced myself, took my computer in, showed them programs, or showed them, you know, shopping tours, or showed them PowerPoints that I had on like weight loss and juicing and autoimmune and digestive health, and actually was like the walking business card. And so that can feel scary, but it's like, we just have to push past that fear. Because if not, we sit there and then we go and we over-certify ourselves. We over-certify ourselves. We sit there and we think that we don't know enough. So we go to all these different classes and courses, and we're still not out there.
Yeah, exactly. I think when you have like, a brochure or a flyer or business cards, when you're walking into a place, it helps build confidence, because you're approaching it like a professional, and then you also have something to show, right? So I always went in with like my brochures, my flyers, for if I was doing a program, or like my business card. And it really gave me the confidence to just walk in there feeling like, okay, yeah, this is like my business. I could do this,
Well, and I think the part is that you have to, in order to have that confidence to go in, you do have to know who you serve.
Absolutely.
What their problems are. I had a coach, she is such a sweetheart, and she signed up for a discovery call. And I said to her in the email before our call, I said, who do you serve? What are their biggest problems? And she couldn't answer it in an email. And I said, don't worry, don't feel overwhelmed. Let's not get you overwhelmed. Let's just get on a call. She sat there and she was like, well, I don't know. I know that I want to serve these women, these busy moms. And I said to her, but you need to know like why these busy moms buy. You need to know what they're searching for on the internet, so that you can provide that. So you grab their attention and you can lead them down the path of working with you. She took like 3 weeks from that initial call to go and figure out what were her freebies. Why did they solve the problem that her mom, she kept saying, well, this is this busy mom. And I was like, right, this busy mom, her objection is that she's going to be too busy to do this. But what is the reason that she's coming to you? And finally, it's like that came out, like she really wants to lose weight. She's either just had babies or she's got young kids. She's like fallen short of taking care of herself. That's the reason that she's buying for her specific, niche. Once she got clear with that, she even was like, oh my God, my confidence, my excitement is there. And then she was able to map out a low cost offer. She was able to map out the next journey, the next step they wanted to take, or the next step they were going to take with her. All of a sudden, I said to her at that next meeting that we had, I was like, are you now confident enough to go and do videos on YouTube, to put up a clear profile on Instagram, something that somebody's going to know exactly why they are there, instead of just posts that are great and they might be inspirational, but they don't make any sense to why that woman would want to stay there and buy.
Yeah.
And she was like, yes, I think that I'm going to do that. I'm going to do your unlisted video challenge where I do the videos, keep them unlisted. Because she was like, I really want to help this person.
Yeah.
And once that really came out, it was like the confidence was there. Her face looked totally different. She was sitting up higher. And I just know that she's going to be able to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's such a big deal, to know when you know your message, you can talk it, you can live it, you can show up with it. And that's definitely huge, is to actually know who you're talking to with your message,
What would you say for that coach? Let's even talk about that, because getting out there, we have Facebook groups, we have your Facebook business page. We also have our personal page, which we can share about our behind the scenes, our why, our, we can share the excitement, like our freebies, we can do lives, we can bring people in there, we can go offline. We have Instagram, we have TikTok, we have a lot of places that we have to show up. I always suggest picking like 2 platforms and then learning that, getting comfortable with the showing up, and then crushing it by repurposing the same content on other platforms.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the best way, because I always find that like sometimes coaches will get really overwhelmed when they think like, oh, I gotta be, all my social media profiles have to be completely updated and I gotta be everywhere posting in all different ways. But if you just, create one quality piece of content and then you just share it and disperse it to the other platforms, you're not really having to be there doing it. It doesn't take so much time. You save time, you still reach a broader, audience, and it just really helps,
And being able, I think showing up is also knowing what to post. So it's like really looking at your niche topic, the problems that they have, offering the solution, your sub niche, and then really going by categories, like your behind the scenes, your why, an introduction post,
Yeah. And
your
really emotionally connected.
programs.
Yeah. Like, what does it feel like for that person to be going through what they're going through? If you can tap into that, then you'll have captivating posts everywhere. Like, really describe what it feels like currently for them. And then also, now you're on the other side of that. What does it feel like to not have to be going through that anymore? And I think that the more that people see that connection, right, and that like empathy connection, then they start engaging with you and messaging and checking you out.
Yeah.
How can I really work with this person?
Well, and then you actually get that person to start going to your different profiles, signing up
Mhm.
for freebies. I mean, I know that when I think of the clients that I've coached, they all were really intuitive women who started showing up and just sharing. I mean, not needing it to be perfect, just showing up and sharing about client problems, about their own problems that they had and they overcome, even current problems that they're struggling with, and really let their ideal client get to know them, because people buy people and then they buy products.
Exactly.
Really letting that true personality out. And I think when we do that, coming up with social media content does not feel as overwhelming.
Yeah, not at all. Yeah, I think that's definitely the key. You just have to own a little bit of your confidence, too. You've gone this far, you've gotten the education, have the experience, you've helped people, even if you don't have clients yet, I'm sure helped people for free, right?
Yeah.
Anyone who's listening, we all start with our friends and our family and everyone first, and really step into that. Like, this is your purpose. So that's what you should be doing.
And I think the last thing that I want to touch on for this shorty podcast episode is that sometimes that confident stuff gets triggered when we do start to put ourselves out there. So
Yeah.
it's like, really take a look at what also is happening in your life. Take a look at like where this confidence piece is showing up and why there's a lack of confidence. Is there
Mhm.
something in your life where you're not feeling supported? Is there something that's going on that's a past thing that you need to kind of address? Because that confidence is a lot of that self-worth, self-love, self-care kind of connection. So I think
Yeah.
as coaches, we really need to be cognizant, coming from a 9 to 5, unless you're coming from like a sales kind of position, you
Mhm.
don't, or independent contractor. I mean, I was an independent contractor coming from real estate.
Yeah.
Like, it felt very different
Mhm.
when I came into the health and wellness space, because I was selling me. I was
Yeah.
selling the building before. And of course,
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
were working with me because they trusted me, because they knew I would never BS them.
Mhm.
They knew I had their
Yeah.
best interest at heart. But when I came into the health and wellness space, all my insecurities came up. And
Mhm.
that confidence piece played out, because we're talking about showing up, but it's like, also, how are you showing up to a sales conversation in a
Mhm.
discovery call? How are you showing up when you have a presentation? It's
Mhm.
like, I think getting that confidence and working on that by practicing how
Yeah.
you're doing these workshops, practicing live, like doing the things that don't feel comfortable,
Mhm.
strengthening those muscles.
Exactly. Yeah, it's definitely a muscle builder for sure. And I think that's really the key, and just to continually do that, like, don't
Yeah.
stop. Yeah.
And I think we'll close it out with like, start before you're entirely ready.
Mhm.
There's not, in 12 years of being in this business, there is not this one time that somebody gave me this like perfect map and it worked out. I had to learn how to pivot. I had to
Mhm.
learn in showing up where I made the biggest impact, where
Mhm.
I felt the most comfortable in the different social media platforms. I had to get comfortable speaking in front of people, because I knew that that area of practicing was going to get me further in my business.
Yeah. Yeah, without a doubt. When I first started, I was like petrified to be speaking to a room full of
Right.
people. And now I'm just like, now actually it's even changed in my personal life, because now I've done it so much business wise that now it's really brought me even out of my shell, even at like local events and parties and just even family things, now I'm
Right.
like the person who will strike a conversation, and I never really was. I think a lot of that has to do with just the habit of showing up for work all the time, and in conversations and podcasts or whatever, like just really showing up and just owning who you are,
I think that's the key to it, is owning who you are, not trying to be anyone but yourself. Because if we do that, it's really difficult to keep that up. And I think that's the
Yeah,
part that feels exhausting. I know
exactly.
when I compare myself to other people, that confidence piece gets triggered and it's not
Yeah.
there. So I've learned to just stay in my own lane,
Mm-hmm.
start to compare myself to other people, because we have to have some level of comparison to do market research.
Yeah.
We need to compare to see what other people are doing. But it's like, take that inventory, step back, make sure that that confidence muscle is being built on a daily basis and being massaged and being
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
then show up in the places that you feel your ideal client is hanging out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's
So do
perfect.
you have a last tidbit that you want to give everyone at their sign off?
Yeah, to start today, I would say definitely to start today, because like you said, there never is a right time to start. And if you start now, you'll be much further next week, tomorrow, than you would be if you didn't.
Right. And if you don't, you'll be sitting there bitching about the same thing in a year.
Exactly.
And to remember that that pain is temporary of that overwhelm. And
Hmm.
that's the part that we always forget. If it feels overwhelming, showing up, it's like, take it in baby steps.
Hmm.
Reach out to one local place and see if you can do a workshop for them. Know what the workshop is. Practice the workshop. Do it in front of your significant other or your partner or a friend. It's like, do it on Zoom and practice it. And then see how you sound, and like, no judgment. It's only going to get better over time.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely.
All right, guys. So this is homework. Homework is to show up on that platform that you may have you a little scared, but you need to be there. We all have that list of platforms that we're like, I've got to learn that. Go and learn it. Be comfortable. It doesn't matter whether you're online or offline. And remember, even if you're working offline, can still drive people to your signature training, to your signature freebie. You can bring people in the offline space to the online and even sell them to your programs, which could be online, like a self-paced program, or it could be a group that you're doing. Remember, there can be a hybrid approach to your work. So I hope you have a great week. We will talk to you next week, and keep it real. Bye, guys.